This is Harry Nickson, who's 98 years old, and we're going to talk about the Wallasey Village Fair that you went to when you were a child. First of all, where was the fair held, Dad?
On fairs round about the Green Lane area. That is the southern part of Wallasey Village.
And what time of year was it held?
It is held, like most celebrations for a church, we get at the end of harvest.
So sort of September, August, September.
August, September, late summer.
And you went to it as a child, so this will be in the 1920s, would it? The second half of the 20s?
Second half of the 20s and a little bit later. But because I attended there was probably because we go with friends with see girls, so I would be middle teenagers.
And who did you go with, usually?
I went with my friend Colin, who lived near me, and Colin Wiley,
yeah,
his name is, and there was Sid Johnson,
yeah,
and other people.
Okay, and you lived in Seacombe or Poulton, the other side of Wallasey, so how did you get there?
We were on the bicycles.
On the bicycles, right.
Yes.
You told me that there were some families that kind of sponsored the fair. Can you remember some of their names?
The Deans, the Darraghs, the Websters, and the Joynsons. The Joynsons are older family than the others. And Websters are pretty old, but the Joynsons have been there for generations.
And they were local, they had land in the area, did they, those people?
Local farmers, yes.
And also the church was somehow supported it. Was it the Saint? Which church was that?
Rather oddly, it is always supported by St Hilda's Church, although geographically St Nicholas's is nearer.
Okay, and the day, I think you said, it was usually on a Saturday, was it? Held on a Saturday. And the day was split up into sort of a morning and the afternoon. What happened in the morning?
Mostly to do with housewives. They had things to do with not only festivities for the housewives, but also they would have cake stalls and women doing their own. When the
flower show and vegetables, vegetables and flowers. Yeah.
Yes, to a certain extent.
And did they have prizes for those things?
Oh yes, usually the silver cup that went round every year. I think the cups were a bit of a fiddle really, because I think they were distributed rationally.
And what happened in the afternoon in the fair?
Oh, there was a much more joyous affair. The Wallasey Village Band turned up, and they were making oopa noises and marching up and down. And we also had a noisy fair there with roundabouts, which we didn't have in the morning. And they had the bicycle races, rather oddly a slow bicycle race. And I don't think they had one anywhere else. The idea being the last person won the race. That being that you had to ride as slowly as you could.
Without falling off?
Without falling off. And you must not steady yourself by putting your foot down or things like that.
That's interesting. And what other games or competitions did they have in the afternoon? Can you remember?
Well, they had the usual country thing. The perennial country thing was a tug of war.
Who would be the teams in the tug of war? Would they?
They're usually organised by the church, but it'll be individual parishioners who had their own interest in whatever it were.
And did they have the women had an egg and spoon race? Did you say?
Yes. The mothers had to have an egg and spoon race, and everybody had to cheer as loudly as they could. And very frequently, it was won by somebody very, very fat. I don't know why, perhaps.
The fat person won the egg and spoon
yes,
race.
and then of course and it's a local heredity over there.
And there was also a brass band as well.
Oh yes, the aforementioned brass band.
That was a church brass band, was it?
Well, it was composed of the members of the church, the permanent members of the church who turned up regularly, including the Rogers family, who lived in a small cottage off Green Lane, and there were huge people. There were 4, I think, and probably more of them. But boys, there was 3 boys and 1 girl, and they're all huge people. They're all traditional Anglo-Saxon country worker. Each of them all were very, very individual. They were very interesting and very intelligent people in their own way. But each had their own interests. Peggy Rogers, was more towards cooking, so she would turn out. She supplied cakes for either for competition and her sister Mary was a bit more scholastic. Mary would organise the events. Billy Rogers, I think it was Billy, used to play in the band with another one, but Billy, whose stomach looked like as if it had a drum in front of it always.
And what about the families, the Joynsons, the Deans, the Darraghs, and the Websters? Did they take part in the events, or did they just?
Oh yes, but in retrospect, I suppose they would have done, but I can't remember the individual people at all. But they certainly, everybody who took part was drawn from the area.
And these families were kind of the start of the market gardeners, were they?
They were the market gardeners, and they're very, very influential market gardeners because they had no competition anywhere else until you get to Mells, geographically a bit Mells.
And the Wallasey potatoes were renowned in those days, is that right?
Wallasey, especially Wallasey new potatoes.
And they came from there?
Yes. And they used to sell all, actually we were told they sold all over England, it might have been, but...
And so can you tell us, to wrap it up now, can you tell us what happened to the fair? Did it sort of fizzle out? Because there was a competition in a way, wasn't there, with the Central Park Gala?
Yeah.
But what happened to the fair in Wallasey Village?
Well, my interest, like all the other boys in the late teenager, interest went elsewhere. But I think it was the arrival of the war, the Second War, which certainly put a stop to it. It was not revived after the war.
Well, thanks for telling us about the Wallasey Village Fair that took place somewhere off Green Lane every year in the 1910s, 1920s, and it's a part of the local history of Wallasey.
It certainly was.
Thanks, Dad.
Pleasure. I didn't say about it.